wedding in Capri, I actually dropped D&B in the best man speech. That's how much love
Nice.
I have for D&B. And in fact, Chris, I'm very furious at you. You picked the one place that had no D&B on the entire island.
Yeah, Capri needs to move on that.
Yeah.
I guess the question is there a D&B Capri in the future?
Hey, you know, I think it's possible. Anything's possible. I think Capri D&B, we could get in the grottos and have some cool neon lights and make it happen.
Like it.
I love it. Well, thanks so much. Well, Chris, I'm going to kick you out of here. We're going to talk about some D&B love and some TikTok. And Brandon, thanks so much for making time.
Thank you.
Oh, listen, Brandon, it's almost impossible to tell you how much I've spent my life in the 20s and my early 30s in Dave & Buster's. And you know, I still think dollar for dollar, half price Wednesdays is the best deal in town.
It is, and it's a great day for us, and a lot of people get to have a lot of fun and escape the week and get that winning feeling midweek for half the price. It's a great deal.
Well, yeah, the competitive nature of that place is real. Many friendships have been forged and lost out of your walls. Well, let's get into it. So today is talking TikTok. It is the theme of today. And you know, with the meteoric rise of the platform, I guess just for those that are tuning in from the brand marketers, from brands, agencies, you know, how has Dave & Buster's adopted TikTok as part of your content creation and your social marketing?
Yeah, TikTok's been an incredible platform for us, most notably because it hosts a totally different audience than we're seeing on a lot of our other platforms. It also resonates with our brand, right? Like I always believe that you should match your brand with the medium, and there's some things that some brands shouldn't participate in, but for us, TikTok's been exceptional. It's filled with positivity, it's filled with that winning feeling, and that's very much where Dave & Buster's plays, and that's what part of our brand personality. So it's fit really well. As far as getting into it, we got into it last November. I believe we have over 450,000 followers at this point. But we got into it. Actually, it was a bit of a funny story, and I'll tell that real quick. There was this trend on TikTok with the old Duke Nukem voice, and the whole trend was this recording that said, "Damn it, I've been banned from Dave & Buster's." And probably a lot of TikTokers are like, yeah, we saw that and we experienced it and it was fun. We had nothing to do with that. And so all of a sudden, we're watching all this organically happen, and you know, we're having a bit of a struggle. I'm having a struggle with our social team, who's on the forefront pushing to modernize our marketing on social, and we're getting flooded with requests to be banned from Dave & Buster's page. So the social team saying, hey, we want to ban all these people, and I'm saying, I love this trend, but I don't want to ban all these people, right? I don't want them to be banned from Dave & Buster's, because our goal is audience growth and getting a bigger following and making sure that we have an audience that we can engage with. So banning is kind of counter to that. So we had these big, roundtable debates about it, but ultimately we found a way to satisfy both the getting banned and the growing the audience, and that was really the start of our TikTok play. But it has been exceptional because of the brand fit and because of the unique audience that TikTok brings.
Well, I love those, those viral organic stories where like it's a reaction to like the larger market and just the kind of zeitgeist of the world. I guess that was something where you guys reacted to it and obviously did it masterfully. Are there things you guys have done in the last year or so where you've just made concerted effort? We're going to make a certain type of activation, talking about your new, maybe half price Wednesdays or whatever it is. I guess what have you guys done on like the kind of planned out version of that?
Yeah, so I think influencers are key here, and I would say more so in TikTok than in any other platform. So I'd say influencers. I would say making sure we have live content has been really important, and partnering with people like Arcade Matt and Brent TV. They did a live feed from one of our stores, and that was great. That was really well received. But also, finding those winning moments and putting them into the post as well. We partner with Team Balmert, Morgan Rahm and her dad, and we've had some viral moments with the Angry Birds jackpot. I don't know if you've seen that, but it stacks all the coins. It's a coin pusher game, and this slow motion tip over there that's just been done really well for us. But I think, for us, it's maintaining the brand personality at all times, and that's just having fun, right? And I think we have a benefit there that our voice is fun. We don't take ourselves too seriously, and that we allow ourselves to have fun on TikTok. And so I would say live feeds, influencers, and then finding that content that really speaks to our brand voice and shows the whole experience too. That is one thing that we found that was interesting is we got a lot of people in on just the games, but then as we started to evolve and test other types of content, we actually saw some outperform just games. So there's a lot of diversity on the platform, and people have different interests. And so I think don't limit yourself. Make sure you're exploring new ideas constantly. It's a newer platform and a lot of growth left.
Yeah, so I am on your. I follow you guys. I'm one of the followers of the Busters on TikTok, and the Angry Birds, the tower is great. I saw one of the recent ones is actually a little girl by accident just kind of hit the jackpot. So just those moments that people have. Would you say that most of the content you get is kind of crowdsourced UGC that you repost? Is it stuff that you guys make a plan of action to go produce it in your locations? What's your POV on that?
Yeah, I would say that between influencers and UGC, that's the lion's share. We have a very small marketing team here, and we try to be nimble. We try to partner with great agencies, but largely the UGC and the influencer program is what's been the most fruitful for us.
Very cool. Well, so we're talking about TikTok. Obviously, that's the day. But there's other platforms, and for many years they were rating supreme, and TikTok came and dethroned them. What's your guys' thought? I mean, do you look at the whole overall media mix, and you gotta just kind of share content between platforms? Is it plans per platform? How do you think about it?
We try to keep it unique. Some things can go cross-platform. Larger campaign initiatives is one thing, right? Like if we are trying to drive trial of a new game or new menu item, that's certainly something that can live across platform, or channel. But other than that, I mean, I think the audiences are unique, and again, we see a lot of overlap with Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, even into our email audiences. But TikTok is one that stands out as being completely separate and distinct as far as who's using it. And sometimes we don't even see those people on any other platform. So I think that's pretty exciting for us. And we want to make sure that we give them unique content. I think that, just taking something and copy pasting it across is not the way to go about it. I think the audience appreciates having something unique that fits the medium. And I mean, just personally noticing a lot more positivity, a lot less, a lot less negative content, and just TikTok just seems, that's the place for keeping it upbeat, positive, fast, fun. And I think that if you don't take that into consideration when you're creating for that channel, then I think you're missing the boat there.
Yeah, every platform kind of has its narrative. I mean, Instagram is more aspirational. Twitter is more controversial with all the political stuff. Facebook is kind of where everyone goes to check out birthdays and talk to their loved ones. But yeah, TikTok is that joy platform, and it's something that we've watched from hundreds of campaigns we've done with clients. Like the sheer and the virality is super exciting because we'll have micro influencers go live and they'll 10x what they ever did before, and it's a sponsored post. And I think and I don't think you should be on this. I guess in my mind, the consumer, as long as the content's emotive, they want to see it. The integration of brand is kind of irrelevant as long as it's done in a fun, enjoyable way.
Yeah, and I think if one of the things that we were guilty of a long time ago was treating these platforms like an advertising channel. And I think if you come with that approach, I would actually encourage you not to participate, because I think it's actually more detrimental to your brand if you think of it as just a place to put the next product, right? It's a place for content and for content creators. I know we're gonna have some great content creators throughout the day, and look forward to hearing from them. But I think you have to have some authenticity. You have to create something that adds value to people, right? Like it's not just about plastering more products across the screen.
And let's change gears slightly. So we know this platform is a game changer. The social platforms are always evolving. I mean, you came in. Let's talk about you for a second. You came in literally February 2020 to a location that requires in-person and touching of things. Like that's the experience of it. So talk. I wouldn't start the pandemic things, but you have a very, specifically pandemic because it was more so for you guys because it really is about community and playing together. How did you handle that? How did you basically take on that challenge? And I believe I heard that you guys are getting some record revenues in the last few months. So it seems like it's turned around.
Yeah. So it's all about the people, right? We've had an incredible team, both in the field and in the marketing side, and none of it could have been done without the teams. We are very fortunate to have a team of rock stars on the marketing side, a very small team. We've been as light as 6, and I think we're coming up on 8 now. So when you're trying to promote a billion-dollar brand across multiple a myriad of channels, that is certainly something that is challenging, right? And so coming into COVID, we spent the first, I would say, 6 months kind of trying to exit everything. The first 3 months, every store was closed. So it was a race to zero budget as quickly as possible at the outset. In some ways that provided us an opportunity, right? It provided us an opportunity to rebuild and how a modern marketing department should function and what we should be focused on. It forced us to kind of focus on the things that matter. And so after 6-9 months of shutting everything down, kudos to the marketing team here. They came alive with all new direction, content, what we should jettison, what we should invest, and really have done a complete 180 on the brand in the last year and a half that I've been here. But it has nothing to do with me; it's all the team. So we've done everything from launch NFTs to enter new platforms, to put a 40-foot banana on Hollywood Boulevard, to completely modernizing our marketing mix. We were predominantly cable, and we are now predominantly digital, and so that's a big shift. It's a shift in mindset. It's a shift in approach and how we measure, how we create creative, how we inspire, and what our brand stands for. All of those things have changed within the last 18 months. And I think, COVID kind of gave us a blank slate and to do that. So as far as what's changed, everything. But we have an incredible team, and so been very fortunate, both the team in the marketing side and in the field. I want to say shout out to them who've taken on the brunt of what's happened with COVID.
And I don't want to goad you into saying that it's TikTok is one of the big drivers, but obviously some of the growth in the last few months is obviously on TikTok and stuff that's happened in the business. Do you see a correlation? Are you guys measuring, efficacy where whether it's from engagements or likes or footfall or otherwise, or how do you guys think about when you work with a channel like TikTok, how it aligns back with your kind of ethos and what you've seen in terms of the result, over the last few months?
Yeah. So I think each channel has its purpose, right? And there's multiple ways to measure each channel, right? And I think you should set out with a intent on what to measure. And you're right, we did just come off of the best quarter Dave & Buster's has ever had. So it's all positive right now. So what I would say is that when you look at each channel, don't be so beholden to the metrics to not see maybe the opportunities. I think that multi-point attribution is still something that needs a lot of work in our industry. And just looking at a singular channel and being like, oh, this person saw our TikTok and then they came in, I think that's it's a little bit narrow, because there's a lot of other things, especially when you're in a window-based campaign type of approach. The TikTok might have been the last thing they saw, but they also got a Cardlytics offer. They drove by a billboard and they saw a TV spot. So I think it's tough to say it was absolutely just TikTok. Now that said, we've seen tremendous visitation off of being partnered in this space. So TikTok, Yelp partnerships. We've been able to track a lot of visitation back to some of these channels. Again, I think there's a little bit of art still left because the science is imperfect of saying what is the correct mix for our brand and where should our brand be? What should we be? What should be our tone on these channels? And what's the intent, right? Because my TikTok's intent for me is not solely to drive traffic. Do I want it to drive traffic? Absolutely. I mean, that's what we, at the end of the day, are measured by, right? For success throughout the organization. But there's got to be a blend of creating a positive feeling with Dave and Buster's. So when you hear that name, you see it on a spot, you go, oh yeah, I remember that Angry Birds coin tower fall. And it evokes emotion, right? We all know this. And so forgive me for belaboring the point, but people make decisions emotionally first, and then they rationalize, right? So they go, I like that. Here's why, right? And so I think that's why it's important for us to make sure that we don't limit TikTok to just traffic driving, because I think that is missing the bigger picture of also creating emotional connections with the brand.
Love it. Yeah, the idea of sequential messaging, getting hit with multiple messages from different voices, whether it's mediums like TV or digital or creators or other platforms. Yeah, I mean that's all part of the funnel that we've all built, for brands to ultimately to get that result. But yeah, it has to be. Yeah, if you hit them over the head, coming for a limited offer only, they won't find that same connection as maybe that viral video they may have saw as part of a larger program. So
and Ryan, I mean, but don't get me wrong, Ryan. I love taking that TikTok report and putting it in front of our senior executives too, as well, because it does. Yeah. There is the marketing's always been criticized for being a bit nebulous in how it approaches results measurement and delivery. And so I think that yes, we should absolutely we should all be performance-based marketers, and that should be our first step. But I want to make sure that as I talk to people, is like, don't forget that the brand has a personality, it has a voice, and that isn't always. It's about the blend of the ROI, right? We should always be tracking marketing ROI, but you should look at it holistically instead of leaving each channel to defend or to fend for itself. Otherwise, you'll end up with all direct response, right? Because that's going to guarantee, like, give you an offer, you come in. But I think we got to look holistically, look at the big picture, and measure, but also consider that there may be more to it.
Well, that's a great segue in terms of the brand. So, as you know, I'm a self-professed D&B fanatic. I've even held company functions in Hollywood and Highland. That's a great location. What is it about D&B that makes such a fervent fan base? Is it because listen, I was in my 20s, I'm in my 30s. I don't have kids currently. There are people that have kids. There are people that do it for birthday parties. It's used for sports. Have NFL drafts there. What about it has made it such a a place that you can have a connection with?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it took me some time to really kind of hone in on what drives that American icon status. Dave and Buster's gives you that winning feeling, but I think also it enables play, and I think that especially in today's world, we have so much. There's so much serious time, and I don't have like a scientific explanation for it, but there's so much time where things are high stakes. They're very they're difficult. It's not easy, or it's challenging, or there's things you have to overcome, and there's responsibilities and just the myriad of inputs and channels, and to be able to escape and play, I think is something that is cathartic. I think it's something that is inspiring. I think it's exciting. It's fun. And I think that Dave and Buster's is probably I would say the best place to do that, to escape into play and to kind of let it go. And so, we talk a lot about, like at dinner, like if somebody brings out their phone and it can be distracting, right? Phones don't hold a candle to the neon lights that we have. Like everything is just blasted away and everybody is present because there's just this level of energy, excitement, and you can shoot baskets, and you can throw ping pong balls to hit tiles, and you can throw an axe at a wall, or apparently I like throwing things, 3 throwing examples, but you can play shooting games, you can transport yourself, you can escape it all, you can have fun, and with people that really matter to you, or somebody that you're creating a connection with. And I think that's another critical point, is that Dave & Buster's is a social experience. We certainly have people that come and game alone, but way more often, it's a group. And it's because when we go on a first date, for example, that kind of over the top energy just blasts away any sort of awkwardness or pause in conversation or anything like that. And it connects you because you're both playing, and you're letting go of all the worries and concerns and insecurities that come with daily life. And so I think that's why Dave & Buster's has this American icon status, is because we've made adult play our product, and it's social adult play. That's our product. And people love that. They have fun. And hell, I'll go by myself, but I have more fun when I'm with others. And I think that's why Dave & Buster's has some stickiness to it.
I love it. I'm a big Mario Kart connoisseur. Always with friends. It's a great. I guess that's a good segue. You also have partnered with iconic movies, iconic properties, IP. I mean, your place is full of IP properties. Is that part of your decision making? Like, I look at the next year, what movies are coming out, what people come to you. How's that work? Because that's always the licensing I see there. I mean, the games are absolutely epic.
Yeah, we have a great head of games, and he's really driven that for us. And I would see us actually leveraging that even more from marketing side in the coming years. I think we can be more a part of pop culture than we have been in the past 10 years. We have the American icon status, so it's this amazing opportunity to leverage our history, but then also to play in the everyday. Drake, every time Drake's in a city that there's a Dave & Buster's, he rents it out, and he just has bottle service and just does it up. And I'm just like,
that's amazing
to be that much part of pop culture while also having the nostalgia. I've just been very fortunate to be a part of this brand, even for the last 18 months, because it's this unicorn. And I think that I think we as the marketing team need to be more forefront of pop culture and leveraging that. And so I think you'll see even more of that from us.
All right, I'm gonna pitch you something. How about this? New campaign, Drake, DMB, and we get his license to a song, Best I Ever Had.
Hey, I love it. We'll talk to Drake. I still have not talked to Drake. Drake won't talk to me, but so we'll see what we can do though. We've got people.
If you need help, we'll put you with Drake.
Yeah.
He's part of William Morris, so we'll get you connected. First, I had no idea that's the case, and you guys extra cool now. All right, so you have that play mentality. I go there, and I work up an appetite after playing these games. You guys actually recently released a new menu. Tell us, I've loved you for years. What was the evolution there to make that decision?
Yeah, so I mean, Dave & Buster's has had a long, complicated history and relationship with food and beverage. When the original founders came in, or when they started it, it was good, really good food that surprised you, right? Like, you were going to an arcade and then you went and you ate and you're like, I didn't expect it to be that amazing. And so that was how they approached it from the very beginning. I think, along the way, we probably diverted from that track, but we're back on that like, you can go to Dave & Buster's and be like, whoa, this is really good. This is quality meat. This is creative. I mean, beer battered cauliflower with 5 spice on it. I mean, we've got some incredible menu items in a culinary team that honestly just need to be unbridled. They were pushing the edge, and within the last year, they've created an entirely new menu. So 23 new menu items launched this summer. It's an incredible menu. It's got we kind of brought it up to modern times with making sure we have gluten-free options, vegetarian options, making sure that we have the classics, cheeseburger, your nachos, but then more the exploratory. We call it a core and explore strategy that we can, if you just want, straight down the middle cheeseburger, perfect, we got that. You want a pub burger that has griddled cheese that's been marinated in Guinness, like we've got that more exploratory for you too, whether it be the cauliflower or some of the other items that we have. But we have the core items, and then we have the explore items. And really the way we think about it is, if you think about Disney, right? You go to Disney and you are there for the entertainment and the fun that Disney promises. And then you dip into a restaurant. Well, you could dip into corn dogs, hot dogs, but you could also dip into fine dining. I mean, Disney has the range of it. And so for Dave & Buster's, we have to be broad, and a lot of restaurants win by being specific and focused. We have to be focused on quality, but we have to have this core and explore mentality, that we have these core items that everybody can have, or the explore items that push the boundaries and give us food credibility. And they've done a great job of making some really delicious items. Like, wow, like this is Dave & Buster's kind of food. And so my favorite right now is the Korean spice ribs that are absolutely outstanding. So
it's amazing. Yeah, the over the years is obviously there's a number of favorites, and my favorite also. I'm an adult beverages, Jack and Coke with whatever you add to the burger. Have it delicious.
We got an entirely new beverage menu coming out. We actually have a feature that is my favorite. We're using the peanut butter screwball whiskey, and we make a peanut butter old fashioned, which, like, as a purist, I was like, please, do I have to try this? And then I tasted it, and like, they have to keep it locked away from me because it's so good. Like, you're gonna try it and you're gonna go peanut butter old, and you're gonna go, wow, okay, I get it. You're right, Brandon. Y'all can hit us up. I think that's gonna be our next TikTok trend, is peanut butter old fashions.
I mean, I like both of those things by themselves. So yes, now I have to try them together. I've been tempted. I appreciate that. So with that, you've obviously grown, the business alongside your amazing team. But you yourself came from, Romano's Macaroni Grill, Del Frisco's, a number of locations before this. One, how has that served you at D&B as you guys evolved the business? And two, what made you go into the restaurant, QSR, essentially the food space?
Yeah. I started off at McCann Erickson in New York and kind of built my base there with advertising, and really got a global perspective on the approach to marketing and advertising. From there, it was actually a coincidence. I met someone who was in the restaurant space, two co-CEOs that gave me an opportunity that was probably beyond my skill set at the time. And so what I did is I put everything in it, put everything towards it, failed some, won some, but we put it all on the line. And that led to a partnership with one of those CEOs that led across multiple companies. And I was very fortunate for all the opportunity that he gave me along the way. And opportunity to try new things, to put myself out there, to fail, and to learn and to get better from those failures. But in that, we achieved some incredible success stories. And Macaroni Grill was an incredible brand that I learned a lot about restaurants and big brands there. One of the things that we were very much on the forefront of is bringing digital. We actually launched online ordering in 2010 at Macaroni Grill. And so that's a lot of things that a lot of restaurants are just now getting into with the pandemic. But it was 11 years ago that we were already there. And so what I learned from these opportunities is not to sit back and play it safe, but to kind of take a 70-20-10 approach of, hey, you've got to deliver the results. So the 70% are the proven tactics. 20% are new spaces that you can kind of correlate with the 70%. So it's kind of got some sort of familiarity to it, but something familiar and something new together. That's the 20%. And then 10%, you got to get out there. You got to push the edge. You've got to not sit and be comfortable. If you find yourself being comfortable, I think that's a time to really shake it up. And for us, that led to NFTs, that led to bananas on Hollywood Boulevard. I know I mentioned that before, but that's the current conversation around DMB. But what I learned in restaurants, I think probably most importantly was it comes down to the frontline team. And the frontline team in a brick and mortar store is what creates the experience. So if you're not creating for them, then you're not creating for the guest. And so for us, we've been very, very much cognizant of how our actions impact operations and what that means to them. And so that's probably what I would say I took away most. I got even more of that when I was president of Del Frisco's, seeing more of the operations side and all the things that they have to deal with on a daily basis and the decisions they have to make. And so really creating marketing that doesn't ignore the functional parts of the organization. And I would say that's been my biggest contributor to my success is being conscious and aware of not only the guests, but of my partners internally.
I love that line. Yeah, the 70, 20, 10. The 10% is like the bleeding edge. What can you essentially push? And it's the highest risk, the highest reward scenario. And obviously, you've done a tremendous job over the years. It's a great kind of alley-oop into NFT. So that's over the last year plus. I mean, while crypto's been around for years, NFTs obviously adopted into it in the last year or two. But most brands are just trying to figure out what the acronym is. You guys have obviously started doing things. I'd love to hear about what you guys think about NFTs, and it all ties back to the 40-foot banana over in Hollywood and Highland. So I'll let you kind of take away and talk about what you've been doing.
Yeah, for us, I'm a big believer in you shouldn't do everything, right? Like you shouldn't, if it doesn't make sense for your brand, if your brand was a person, would it make sense for that person's character to behave that way or to participate in that? And if it doesn't, then don't do it, right? Like you should focus on where it makes sense. Like don't do an NFT just because NFTs are hot. I think that's a bad play. I think you'll come up empty-handed. For us, we have a winner's circle, right? We have a place that we're actually rewarding content and physical items. And so for us, it was a natural play. We have 3 city coins per our 84 different cities. One's ultra rare, one's rare, and one's common. And so you can redeem your tickets to get a chance to open up a ultra rare NFT. And if you actually collect all the cities and the game NFTs, you can redeem it for a $10,000 Dave & Buster's gift card or power card. And so, there's some real world / there's digital ties, and we partnered with Sweet, who did a great job of getting this set up for us. And, it made sense for us because we have a way to redeem it. I mean, I'm not saying, you can't experiment or you can't run with something. I know Taco Bell did like a unique piece of art that they released and they got press for that, and that keeps them relevant. And I think, as long as you understand what the intent of the piece is and you're not just doing it to be a part of it, then it can be valuable. So for us, that was really led by our team here, and they did Pete Thornfield and our digital team with Kevin Fitzpatrick and all the team members there did a great job of making sure that we had relevance with it. And Mother, our agency, did an amazing job of helping us get that along. I'm sorry, Ryan, I can't hear you.
Okay. Oh, can you hear me now? Sorry, my apologies.
I can hear you now.
You think after 18 months, 2 years, you're going to get better at this. Is there any relevance back to the actual the 40-foot banana? Is that something that's part of it, or is that just something you guys did for separately from that?
Yeah. So one of the key initiatives for our business is sports, right? We believe that Dave & Buster's has one of the best sports watching experiences out there. We have these 40-foot wow walls that we can divide up content from sports betting lines to fantasy numbers to games that are live to other sports content. And so we have these incredible 40-foot wow walls that are in a space, and again, kind of that sports excitement, energy fits right along with that adult play. And for us, that's not our primary offering. And so, somebody like a Buffalo Wild Wings, that's their primary offering. So when you think of Buffalo Wild Wings, you think of sports and wings and beer, right? And so when you think of Dave & Buster's, you think of games and food and drinks, right? And so, okay, well, let's add sports to that. How is that going to manifest? And I think there we have to take even more risk, right? Because we have more at stake in order to educate the audience of it. So banana for scale, that was the idea. Obviously something that you see across the internet. And we looked at it as, okay, well, how do we get a banana for scale for a 40-foot TV, right? So let's make a 40-foot banana. And so we took a 40-foot inflatable banana and we stuck it on Hollywood Boulevard, and Jimmy Kimmel, posted on his Instagram account. I think one of the first days it was up. We had some back and forth with Chippendales about it, but largely, we just wanted to say, hey, look, this is a big banana, and this is how big our TVs are. And so just have some fun with it. Again, that falls in the 10%. So are we measuring it? Absolutely. Are we looking at what it does for us? Yeah. But am I saying, geofence the banana, how many people then came in? I don't think that's the purpose of that, right? So it's part of our blended mix.
I love that. I have many questions here. So actually, let's go back to the first part. So let's go back to the NFT part, because that really is obviously more the nerd part. I love that. I'm super into them. You blended real world and NFTs, in the digital world. Is there some sort of, like you said, like, is it 86 cities? You basically can, if you go around them, you can win them. Is there a goal where maybe one day the power cards, NFTs are all interchangeable? Is there some sort of, you think about the 10%, is there like a 5-year plan type scenario?
Yeah, I can't go into public company. We won't go into too much detail, but I'll say there's just scratching the surface of our play in this space. Dave & Buster's is naturally a digital brand, and a brand that has a lot of tie-ins with collectibles and pop culture and things like that, where I think there's more there. And I think, I think the whole NFT blockchain, the whole technology set, it's in its nascency, right? And so I think there's a lot more that we're going to be able to get to with that, and we're going to be pushing the boundaries with it, and making sure that we're right there as new abilities or new functionality comes along with it. And I think there was some concern about some of the coins and their impact on the environment. So that's something we're watching out for. But I think that the proof of stake methodology that like Ethereum is evolving into, and some of the others, I think maybe Polygon is another one that I think is proof of stake, Cosmos, a few of those other ones. Forgive me if I'm mistaken on those, but I think that proof of stake eliminates a lot of the work that the miners have to do, and can help us, create a more sustainable NFT space. And so I think there's just a lot of innovation that's coming in that area. So we will be on the forefront of it. We do have some plans for what's next, but I'll hold those a little bit closer to the vest.
Yeah. Smart move. So now we're in the last 7 minutes with the Q&A. So I ran a little long asking a bunch of questions, but a lot of great questions coming through. And actually, it's a good question because it relates back to the banana and Jimmy Kimmel. So the question is, how do you balance macro influencer campaigns versus micro influencer campaigns? What role does each of these kind of play? And obviously, you're getting some of those mega or super celebrities that are sharing that authentically because they love your product. But how do you think about the micros and macros as you guys go about your activations? Yeah,
it's a great question, because do you ladder up a bunch of micros, or you go for the macro? And I think it depends on the brand. We're very fortunate, as I talked about, that American icon status, that we naturally get that. If your brand doesn't naturally get that, then I think you probably have to think about a strategy to get the macros and pay into them. For us, it comes pretty natural. So I hate to give that answer, because it doesn't give you a plan for the future. But what I do think it's important to have a balance. And I'll actually take it back to Del Frisco's. That was one of the things that we made bigger investments and macro influencers for the messages that really matter to us. An example could be a new menu or a new product or something like that. And then for the micro, it was more just like, hey, what content can you create for us? What is your perspective on the brand? And I think that's something I'll bring it back to is no matter if you're going macro or micro, and you should have a balance there. No matter what you're doing, try not to be too heavy-handed in what you're asking for from them. I think the audience really, even when it comes out and says it's an ad, like they really can feel the difference between when it's very heavy-handed versus allowing them the space to create. And if you can let go of that control of your brand, you may get something way beyond your expectations. So I think balancing the two is important, but it's going to depend on the brand. But either way, make sure you give them the ability to let their voice shine through.
You said the word balance, and one of the other questions is from someone named Todd Wallace, and he actually says, how do you balance the kids versus adult attraction of D&B? And I guess mine would be kind of on top of that, and it relates to your marketing mix. So do you think of like, I'm going to identify families who've got kids? Obviously, it's a holistic family as opposed to targeting kids. But then the other one is like, people like myself that love your new stuff and want to go hang it out. So do you think about that in kind of different tiers in terms of types of influencers, put them in the micro macros?
Yeah. So we predominantly focus on the young adult because we believe it's aspirational for, parents to take their kids there. They go, that looks like fun. Because it has that youthful nature to it, and they can see their kids playing video games, so that's not a big leap. But we try to make it more aspirational, and that's a little bit newer for us. So I'd say there's still some development there of how much we focus on both different channels. That was one thing in our most recent run, looking at YouTube for some of the younger audiences because of just the way they consume media. And so for us, predominantly we want to create a culture of that young adult and that aspirational status. And then we want to pull the younger kids on that. I think there's more development to do though. I think that's certainly something that Dave & Buster's can continue to hone. I remember when I was a kid and that I got to go to Dave & Buster's, and it was a really big deal because we had to go at lunch and we went until like 4, and then we had to leave because at 6 there were no more kids allowed, right? And that's changed over time, but to me that was like, whoa, I'm doing big kid stuff today, right? Like I'm doing something that's out of reach for me normally. I can't go at night. I don't know what happens there at night, but I can't wait till I'm 18 and I can go, right? But I think that is an important positioning for the brand that I think needs a little bit more refinement. So I think it's a good call out. Right now we're looking at more of a aspirational pull strategy.
And another question came in kind of related to that is the idea of young adult. Have you guys taken a deeper dive into the NIL space, the collegiate athletes? Obviously, they're the aspirational athletes inside of the kind of young adult space. Any POV on those?
Yeah, we don't yet. I think we've got a more sports push coming next year, so I won't go into too much depth on that. I'm happy to see it that it happens, that it happened because of just everything these kids are putting in for these teams. So I'm happy to see them being rewarded for that. I want to make sure that there's equity across the team and that we don't create more disparity based on positions and performance. So I hope to see some level of equity there, and I do think it's something we'll participate in, but we're not going to talk talk our strategy on that just yet.
Makes sense. And then last,
thanks for the question.
You have a couple. No, good job, guys. I mean, obviously, there's so many different tactics to take around the creator economy, and that's just one. And another one that exists also, whether it's them or families or individual influencers. You mentioned that you guys are, which is very progressive, already got into the live space, TikTok Live, or other live platforms. I made a prediction in 2019 that by 2022, 10 to 20% of people's budgets would go towards live. Now, I think more so it's accelerated in the last 6 months because obviously the platforms have jumped from live streaming to live shopping. What is your POV? Is live going to be a big thing going forward? Is it actually gameplay from influencers at your locations? What do you guys think about live?
Yeah, 100%. We have a great lead on our team who's leading this for us, MK Flores. I am even hesitant to say her name because I'm like, don't steal my team members. But she's done an incredible job. And what when her and I were talking about, TikTok and just kind of making sure that we were in sync on some of the questions today, she just put a huge emphasis on live and just said, that's the future. That's where we see the most engagement. That's where that really drives our brand forward. And so, I think I mentioned this earlier, but we had Arcade Matt and Brent TV do I believe they did a co-host thing with us. I know the Arcade Matt's done a couple with us, but we have different influencers doing takeovers and giving them the keys to the kingdom and saying, what do you want to do with Dave and Buster's? And again, that goes to letting go of control. And you kind of have to let go of control when it's live. But, I think if everybody's aligned and kind of heading the same way in a positive space and keeping it upbeat and fun, that you can really do a lot with live. And yeah, huge proponent of live. A lot of it's really important to our strategy.
I love it. Well, Chris is the playoff music here. I don't know when it comes
the
on.
hook.
I ruined